And late last night, I finally finished Never Flinch. Unbeknownst to me, this was, when I started reading it, this was the fourth book in the Holly Gibney series from Stephen King, which means I have to go back and read at least 3 other books. There's a novella that goes with them. So, spoilers. How can I describe this story? We have a serial killer who had wrote a letter to the police chief, Warwick, that he was going to murder 13 innocents and 1 guilty before he starts murdering. And so we also get the perspective of the serial killer, like Stephen King likes to do. He gives perspective of pretty much everybody. Main characters is Holly Gibney, because it's one of her books. Izzy Janes, who's the police detective on the case, and Barbara and Jerome. I don't recall their last names. But, so, Trig, who is our serial killer, goes off and he murders a random person on the street, puts somebody's name in that person's hands. And so when the police find it, they find the dead body and they find a name in their hands. They figure out that the names are jurors who was on a case for the Defray gentleman that was killed, that was sentenced to prison on false charges of child pornography, and he was killed in prison. So the names he's putting in the people he kills are surrogates for the jury members. As kind of a side story that all meets up in the end, there's a really strong, I guess you could call her a liberal activist, extremely women's rights, pro-choice, all that jazz. So her assistant, because she hired an assistant to book all the appointments, all the venues, hotel rooms, basically to do everything but her job. So she's going across country, doing these speeches, promoting her views. She's not a politician. She's a writer. Many of the characters love her work. So she starts off on the West Coast, and in one of the West Coast cities, her assistant gets assaulted with bleach thrown in her face because they mistook her for Kate. Yeah, Corey they mistook for Kate because they do look similar. So this person's following them across the United States, looking to basically assassinate Kate, because they're totally against her views. We find out that they're working for a church in Wisconsin. There was also an anthrax scare at one of the venues. And then after that moment, because Corey, I forget the actual details, but basically she took action right away and had the security guard take precautions so as not to get anthrax, but she could have gotten anthrax. So after that, they decided to hire a female bodyguard, so to speak, and they called Holly's office and they requested her for a bodyguard. And Holly eventually did it, and so she's following them around. When she gets to the Midwest, she's following them around, and saved Kate from getting her head bashed in with a bat, and basically is trying to take all these precautions, like, we're going to have you guys book a hotel room in under this name, but we're going to actually do this hotel in this name. Yeah. So it's interesting. So it all comes down to Buckeye City, which is one of the cities that Kate was going to do her thing. The problem was, Sister Bessie, a soul singer from Holly's younger days, was going to do was going to do like a late tour, like one of those tours that the much beloved older singers do sometimes. So they had canceled Kate's speech at that venue in Buckeye City, the Mingo, and had booked Sister Bessie instead, which was fine. But then they allowed Kate to do hers the night before. So we've got a serial killer on the loose. We've got we think at first it's a pair of siblings, a sister and a brother, Chrissy and Christopher Stewart, chasing after Kate, looking to assassinate her on orders of the church and the beliefs, pro-life beliefs and other beliefs that they are strongly conservative. So we've got these two baddies. We all meet in Buckeye City. There's been multiple people killed. And when it's all coming to a head, we find out that Trigg is one of the jurors, and he is also the program director for the Mingo venue. And his final play is to kidnap Barbara, Corey, Kate, and Sister Bessie, and basically murder them in an old abandoned condemned hockey rink that was where his father took him to watch games. Good times and bad times there, depending on whether or not the team won or lost. So he had already killed somebody previously in that same place, and he kind of left the body there with the juror's name in there. Police hadn't found it because it's condemned, locked. Why would they even think to look there? Why would anybody go there? So also we find out that Chrissy and Christopher are the same person. When Christopher was young, his twin sister passed away from a congenital thing. Now, they belonged to a church. His dad, and then thus his mom, belonged to a church who does not believe in modern medicine. They believe in praying away the illness, and if it doesn't work, it's God's will. If it does work, it's God's will. All that jazz. So, despite his dad being an inventor, refuses to let his mom find out what happened to their little girl, why she died. But eventually he gives her away. He lets her have her way. So she takes the child in, finds out why she died. And it's really not that important to the story. The important part to the story is the fact that they belong to a religion who does not really allow for advances in technology, despite his dad being an inventor. Anyway, so his twin sister dies. Chrissy dies. And as a way to comfort his mother, Christopher decides to start dressing up like a girl so that his mom can have her baby girl again. And her mom is like, this is our little secret, it's basically a transvestite. Because his dad rejects it and the church decided to use that. So this is the perpetrator following Katie and working to assassinate her. That person follows them to Buckeye City. When Holly figures out who this person is, who he is, Chris Stewart, that's the author of one of my other books, she basically circulates flyers all around the town. So Chris decides to hide out in that abandoned hockey rink and sees Corey when she's brought in, trussed up and drugged. Sees Barbara when she's brought in, tells Barbara, I don't have anything against you, but I can't untie you yet. Thinks that Trigg is going to do God's will for her. And when Trigg brings in Kate, Chris attacks Trigg, saying, she's mine, like this is my kill, and everything like that. Chris misses Trig with the gun. And then Trig eventually kills Chris not too long after it. So he's waiting for Sister Bessie because he threatened Sister Bessie with Barbara. And she's supposed to come to the hockey rink, and he's supposed to kidnap her as well. And while he's waiting, he's kind of having a psychotic break where he's imagining his dad. He's been imagining his dad the whole time. But at this point, it kind of reaches like a high point, a peak, where he's actually doing the voices. He's a little kid voice, he's his own adult voice, and then he's also doing his dad's voice. And Holly figures out where Kate is by the GPS Apple tag that she put on her keys. So she follows her to the hockey rink, can't figure out how to get inside because she doesn't know about the plumber's code. So she's waiting outside, waiting for whoever else he said was going to come, because he didn't mention a name. He just said, we'll wait till she gets here. Sister Bessie is singing the national anthem for the cops and fire department, cops versus fire department baseball game that's going on, softball game that's going on. And then after that, she's supposed to come meet Trig at the ice rink. Well, she's trying to get there. She's an old lady, and she sits on a bench, and Jerome figures out she's gone because he was doing bodyguard duty for her. Runs after her, finds her on a bench where she's like pale and like, I have to take a break. My legs can't carry me all the way over there. But she's got a gun. He's like, okay, well, he takes the gun and he goes to the hockey rink because she told him what she has to say. He sees Holly at the hockey rink, and he kind of, they kind of make a plan. Holly's the one who's going to say it, pretending to be Sister Bessie. Holly does, and as soon as Trig opens the door, Holly shoots him. Because Holly has figured out by this time that he is Don Gibson or Trig. And the way she figured that out was because she was going around. She has a friend in the Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. And he had been asking around about a name named Triggs. And so one of the guys from way out there, Alcoholics Anonymous, said he remembered the guy saying something funny like, do you have any idea how hard it is to clean up or to find somebody to clean up elephant poop at like 1 a.m. or something? And that was key because they remember that there was a circus in town, and one of the elephants did that. Anyway, so she figured out it was him. So they shoot him, but he already started a fire in the in the hockey rink, and so they have to try and get the women out of there, and then they also get the 2 dead baddies out of there, and everybody lives happy ever after. I did like it though; it was a good book, as Stephen King often does. Stephen King is another one of those authors that likes to do a lot of background. But he didn't do too much background into this one, not like he normally does. Sometimes he goes off on political rants, basically being a newspaper. And he didn't do that so much on this one, which is good. What he did do, which bothered me, I liked it, but I didn't like it, was he built up suspense a lot by ending certain sections with... They thought that was the end of their rivalry until she pitched it to him at open plate. Yeah, things like that. So it just really built up the suspense. It was a good book.